Hello, Grebos and Spartans, and welcome back to Schmitto's Army and downloadable content. Say hi, Schmitto.
How you doing, guys?
Yeah, he's the disembodied voice that you can't see right now because we're not smart enough to figure that out. But we have something fun for you. Schmitto has a great idea, don't you, Schmitto? Why don't you tell us about your great idea?
Okay, so I thought we would make a tier list on all the weapons in the game since I've been asked what my favorite weapon is. So why not show you which ones we both love and hate?
Yeah, so we have some awesome tier list software for you guys to enjoy. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the Blade and Sorcery tier list.
The first one we have is the Antique Sword. Now, Mr. DLC, where is the Antique Sword going? Do you want to give this a quick run and see how it feels?
Yeah, let's go ahead and find this Antique Sword right here. Let's spawn it. Let's get everything out of the way here. And let's get this nice Antique Sword.
So just show our viewers quickly, if you look at the weapon page, you should see that the weapon is actually a tier 1 weapon.
Yeah,
so that should give you an idea of how it should
dog
perform.
poop.
Should give you an idea of how it should perform, but let's give it a spin anyway and see how it goes.
Yeah, let's put up some training noobs. I've also left armor turned on so you can actually get a nice feel for what it is. All right, blocking, good at blocking. Is it good at stabbing? Yeah, right in the throat, man. I don't know. Good at stabbing, but let's see if it's good at dismembering. Come here, guy. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. Stop moving around. Yeah, the dismember. I don't know. Maybe a bad out of 10. It doesn't dismember too well, Schmidt.
No, that would be because the weapon is based off of a gladius and is also kind of listed an antique. Oh, well, I just got proven wrong right to my face. But yeah, it's based off a gladius, if anyone who's watching did not know that. So that would be why the weapon is primarily a piercing weapon, as you can see right there. So, after giving that a go, what do you think, where are we putting it? Because I have a good idea where I want to put it.
Well, that's a tough one, Schmidt. Why don't you tell me and I'll see if I agree with you.
I'm thinking a nice middle of the road B.
That I would give that. I would put that as a B for right now. Let's set a floor for this one. Let's say that's a solid B.
Okay, fantastic. That is in B. So, we actually have the War Sword next. Now, this I'm going to have some bias on, so I'm going to let you do some gameplay and show you guys what it can actually do first.
Let's spawn this bad boy. So here's the War Sword. I think it looks fantastic, but to be honest with you, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of the War Sword. I'm just going to put that out there.
Why would that be?
Well, first off, it feels unwieldy. Like even with one hand, you got to go pretty slow, and then with two hands, you know, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like if I'm going to use something, it's going to be the longsword. It's not going to be this one.
Fair enough.
And also, it's Blade and Sorcery, so you can't like half sword it. Like you technically can, but you can't realistically.
It's not very good, yeah.
It's great because it has good defense options, so you know I don't have to worry. It's a nice long sword. But as far as how it kills people, I don't know. I want to be able to dismember a little bit better than this. Whoa! I guess I stand corrected. What?
Block that arrow.
Oh my god. Okay, I don't know. Maybe this is a super tier now. That one just got pretty crazy. Well, honestly, I was going to give this a solid C on this one. But after that presentation I just did there, man, I'm going to bump this one up. I'm also going to put this in the B tier.
I will settle for B because I understand I play with slightly amped up settings where it allows me to dismember easier, so it does perform a little better. So I'll allow that. We're going to stick with the swords, and we're going to go with the long sword.
Long sword, got a full. That's a great sword.
So the long sword's pretty much a classic. You can't really get any more simple and, you know, just straight up sword than a long sword, right?
I love the long sword. I think it looks simple, but at the same time, it looks so epic.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The collisions on it, like, it gets so perfect. And that's really why I like this. It handles so well. But how does it perform? Here, we're going to find out. So first, I love good defense on it, but also it has good blunt attacks because of that little knobby knob right there. And the handles, too, so I can get behind him and just hit him like that, and then finish him off. You can wield it in one hand or two hands so it doesn't feel too heavy. And when you're even in slow motion, you can still do it pretty fast and still get, even with your vanilla stuff, it will still feel fast.
Absolutely.
So Schmidt, how would you rate my favorite longsword?
Oh, the longsword has to be S tier. There's no
Oh,
absolutely
thank
no way
God.
it
We
can't
are
be.
absolutely putting longsword in the S tier.
The longsword's always going to be the S tier, so let's bring that all the way up to the S tier.
Let's get a claymore. Okay. Now, preconceived notions of a claymore, right? It's a big boy. The big boy,
Oh yeah.
I mean, just look at that. It is being an absolute legend right now, spinning like that. Well,
That made the showcase so nice.
absolutely. Let's see what the Claymore is capable of. I think because it's a vanilla weapon, not being able to grab it wherever actually holds it back from being an S tier to be direct. So
Oh, yeah.
it's powerful. You could be like, oh, I'm powerful, and then nothing stands a chance. Like when you're actually swinging this one, I don't think the NPCs actually stand a chance. Like there's no defensive capability that they can take. But when you're, I guess, overwhelmed, you know, you have to stay on defense with it. But the thing I like about it, it feels like Nightmare from Soul Calibur. Like it's like, I'm Nightmare. I'm just like swinging this thing around. But in slow motion, it doesn't feel as fun.
No, I have used this back when I used to do slow motion videos, and I can guarantee you it is not nice. I never ended up making a video out of it.
Yeah, it feels like you're wielding like a giant weight, like in real life. So honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this guy, and I'm thinking C or D, man. I'll give you that call.
Okay, so I was going to say D tier as well, but I will give it plus points on range because it does have the most range out of any of the swords. Meaning NPCs can't really get close to you if you use it effectively. So I will put it in C, but it is very low C. It is very close to D, I will be honest there.
Yeah, I agree.
So our next weapon is kind of similar, and it is the Greatsword.
Let's find the Greatsword. So Greatsword is new, right? This is new to U10.
Yes, this came out in U10, and I have some preconceived notions about it, but I'm going to let you test it before I give my opinion.
Oh, good. Well, allow me to provide my opinion then. Similar to the Claymore, I think it holds itself back just by being a normal vanilla blade and sorcery weapon because, once again, you can't half-sword it, handles don't work, and it's begging to be half-sworded. Like, realistically, if you could be realistic, I wouldn't be holding it like here. Like this would be the wrong way to use a greatsword. You probably would be holding it kind of like upside down and then from here also and be able to swing kind of like this, right? And kind of get there for stabby stuff and blunt attacks. So the problem is you can't half sword it and you can't grab it here. And look, it wants you to grab it here. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, it needs to be grabbed here and you really can't. So that's a shame. So this is how I essentially would want to use it like this, be able to hit him and be all Siegfried about him. It is literally stuck in this man.
Yeah, I'd like to
What
use
the
it like
hell?
how I'd imagine. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I'd like to be able to use it the way Highlander used it in For Honor, if anyone's played that.
Oh, yeah. I know
that
what you're
kind of
talking about.
offensive stance is incredible, and it would be very nice to use that way.
Right? So like I want to be able to use it like this one, but I feel like it doesn't lend itself to this type of play style. Like I want to do cool things. And I feel like when I'm using it, it doesn't let me do cool things. So to be honest, I'm going to give this one a solid D. Its physics are all messed up, so solid D.
So yeah, that's a solid D, unfortunately. Warp Frog, please make some adjustments to this weapon, because it could be fantastic. And our next weapon is our first real one-handed weapon, if we don't count that little rusty antique sword, and that is the short sword.
Yeah, short sword. So it looks like the long sword. I feel like they use the similar textures to it.
Yes.
But to be honest, the collision is off on this guy. So because
Just
it's
slightly.
like look at my finger right here. This is me trying to touch it, and it's like, nah, invisible force field. So, you know, it could throw your swings off, especially when you're fighting enemies with armor. So here we have a knight, right? So he's pretty, you know, he has chainmail on, just like yours truly. And also this knight has it. So because they all have helmets, even if I get a nice shot in there, it's going to rent and bounce right off. Even if you're trying to go for the face, you have to really go underneath it. Huh. So I don't know. It handles okay, but because of that other collision on that one, it gets in the way of slashing just a little bit. So if I'm just like, okay, slash him. Well, actually, that completely worked on him. But this guy, okay, it's just working like crazy right now. Maybe it's because I'm a bladed sorcery god at the moment. But honestly, I don't know. I feel like for this one, I would probably put this in C, maybe low B for this one.
Okay, so I'm gonna slightly disagree because I've had very good experience with the short sword. So I'm gonna say, if you say low B, I'm gonna put it B. Just in the. I'll put it at the bottom of B.
Thanks,
We'll do
Schmidt.
that. So now we're just gonna go direct upgrade from the short sword, and I hope you'll agree this is the riding sword.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this right out of the gate. For me, this is an S tier weapon. Like, super. I would give this a double S tier, but I don't know about you. Maybe we'll take points off somewhere. Now, the reason why I say that, I mean, I will take some points off because you can't two-hand it. I know short swords, there's no room for it, but I've seen it happen. I might be able to grab here, but if you try to grab with your opposite hand, it just instantly switches hands. So
yeah,
I guess you could take points off for that one, but it's brutal. Like the way it's designed also, it's designed as a nice piercing weapon. Yes, it can absolutely slash, but it comes to a nice fine point, so it gets a nice pierce in there. It is fantastic. I love using this one. If I'm doing a sword and board combo, the war sword is absolutely my go-to.
Unfortunately, you're reviewing the riding sword, not the war sword.
Well, yeah, so the riding sword is my go-to.
The riding sword, I'm going to straight up agree with you, and just right out the gate, that's going double S tier at the top right there.
Double S.
Always a divider between people, and that's the Reverend sword.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie in this one. This is probably one of my least used weapons for a couple of reasons. One, it looks like ass. Like, it looks like you found it. Like, imagine you're playing this map. Like, you just spawned in. You're like, oh my God, I need a sword. And you're like, oh, damn it. What is this thing? And you pick it up, and then like a lion comes out. That's what it looks like. It's chipped, so it looks like butt. But the other reason I don't use it is because the NPCs don't use it. So if the NPCs don't use it, it probably sucks. But moreover, it's a two-handed weapon for the most part, which is why they're not using it. However, what I will say for this one, it kind of operates like the regular longsword, so it feels good in one hand and it feels just as good in two hands. So it does have some pretty decent handling. So my first way I would put this one is maybe C, maybe low B, but let's find out when we kill people.
I feel like that's just rare for a weapon to feel great in both hands.
Absolutely. So let's slit some throats. Ugh. Yeah. I mean, you can still do some cool things.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. It looks bad. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it just feels like I'm just using like a very basic weapon. I feel like it doesn't do as much damage as some of the other ones. I don't remember what type of, even in the book, what it gives it as a tier. But I don't know. I would probably put this one B, maybe C.
Yeah, I agree. So it's actually a tier 1 sword. It does feel like you've just started out as a new character in Dark Souls, and this is your starting weapon you find next to a gravestone or something. You know, it's not something desirable at all. It's just kind of, if it's there, I'll use it. You know.
Absolutely.
So I agree. Let's put it high C. I think it just beats out the Claymore for maneuverability, though. So we'll do that.
I have been longing for the day to be able to showcase my rapier skills. I know I have my own YouTube channel and can do it whenever I want, but for some reason I don't.
It is very good against armor. If you can just go for that face, it's very easy to finish people off.
The only thing though, because it's the rapier, it's designed to be weak for slashing. So I think a lot of people use it for slashing and then they're surprised. But it's an amazing parry weapon because you get right in on them. And even if you want to slash, like you can, but you have to go for vital spots. Like go for the necks, go for the tendons. But it's awesome for parrying. And if you know how to fence IRL, I guess, you can have some fun because you could do some nice little counters, which I'm going to attempt. Hey, kick, stab in face. Ah, man, it was my one chance that I blew it. Good for piercing, not that good for slashing. So I think people sleep on this weapon because they feel like it's bad, but I feel like it's excellent. I'm actually going to put the rapier in the A tier.
I'm going to agree with A tier. I think it's very good. If it's used for what it's supposed to be used for, then yes. For some reason, got the best weapon in the game from my community vote, and that was the common dagger.
But once you know how to use it, you know how to use it. Because it's the only one that lets you feel like a serial killer. And I guess let me explain myself through demonstration. So this is why you feel like a serial killer. When you go on them and you grab them and you're just like, you just want to relieve some stress from the day, it's the dagger. Because you could just stab people 100 times and you're like, yes, dagger. And now that Blade and Sorcery U10 has given us the dungeon update, you can slit throats when people aren't paying attention. So the stealth aspect is fantastic.
That guy just did the best flip I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I tried to surprise people. My telekinesis ability is pretty up there. But I think the dagger is excellent because it's a good throwing weapon. It's a good melee weapon. The only thing is a horrendous defense weapon, unless you're like a god. And you have different styles. Some people like to play in this like anime style, like this here, which I don't recommend doing this one unless you're attempting to slit throats. So I don't know. I'm gonna let you rate this one.
For the dagger, I'm gonna go solid A tier because of the awful defense.
Nice.
And that's I think that's fine. Now, here's an incredibly overhyped weapon in my opinion, and that's the wrist blades.
I'll tell you what. This is the only time we're going to spawn 2 of things, and that is going to be the wrist blades. I understand why people like these, because you can cast spells while you're doing them. So I understand the necessity. Like if skills in this game was a tier list, my climbing skills would probably be a C also. So anything that enhances my climbing, I'll take. So, if you're not using any mods and you want to do some vanilla style, this also works if you're playing Nomad. And you want to climb and be all cool, you can imbue them, which is, I think, dope. And you can imbue them without any additional mods. But in normal combat, it's really tough because the defense capabilities is probably like tier 0 also, because they can hit you here, especially if you have self-collision turned on.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with how you block. You're literally blocking like an X guard. And if you only have one, if you're using a rapier, maybe use it as your offhand. So if you parry, you can get in like pretty quickly, but using it as just a single one is kind of tough. And even offensive capabilities, it's not completely there, but I get it. I get the appeal of these ones. If I'm trying to be a meme lord, I would also use these ones as well. So I'm probably going to give this one D tier.
I'll have to put it in D as well, and this is going to really hurt people. I hope we're about to get half the comments.
We're going to get flamed. We're going to get so flamed. Okay, buckler. Let's try out the buckler. A buckler is supposed to be a parry weapon, or a parry defense, I should say. So it's supposed to excel in parrying, but it's a very small window. So if someone has like a very small sword, like a dagger, or even a short sword, it's going to be a little harder to do. Like, look how I'm decent at this game, and I'm still struggling. But it also is amazing for shield bashing. So even in slow motion, when you shield bash them, like, look at him. He's just like, am I dead? Yeah, you're pretty dead, guy. I don't want to be the guy that gives the first F, but I might put this one in the F.
I personally don't think it's as bad, because I really like to use that along with a rapier or the antique sword. I really like to use them as a bashing kind of bash, so they stunned, and then you can hit. Or it's a parrying weapon. It's not for defense. So I will put it top of D tier.
Top of D tier, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give that one to you. You get that one, but I reserve the right to make another weapon terrible.
Okay, so next we have probably the most basic you can get, and that's the round shield.
I love sword and board. I don't use sword and board a lot in my videos for some reason. It just doesn't work out for me. But I love it in normal games and in this one also. So when I'm playing sword and board, I feel invincible. So out of the gate, I'm going to put this one in S tier, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is my favorite thing to do, by the way. Shield taps.
Absolutely.
You're taunting.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people keep the shields close to them because they're dumb, but keep the shields out from you guys. Like, just don't keep it here. You're going to get wrecked. So you can block anything, and it has a nice wide hit. So after you block something, a lot of people will swing. Don't swing. Block, and then shield bash them. Then you can get in to kill them. Puts their guard down. So I feel like I can't die when I'm using this one. It can block arrows. It can block spells. It can block everything else. So for me, this one is an S tier.
Oh yeah, round shield has to be S tier. Right up there with the riding sword, and the 2 S tiers have to be the best combo in the game for me. If you felt like you couldn't die with that one, how do you feel about the How do you feel about the kite shield?
Kite shield's okay. I never use it. I mean, fighting NPCs that have a kite shield sucks because it's like the ultimate defense. So like turtle mode activated. So, I give it to the NPCs for actually using these ones, but I don't like using it. I wish it had a piercing effect on the bottom.
I
where
also
you can,
wish that.
like stick them with it. So to me,
Absolutely.
As a shield for defense, it has to be an A for shield, but overall, I guess as a weapon you're going to use in the game, probably run-of-the-mill C. It does get in your way, so really only use a short sword with this one. Possibly the longsword, but you don't want to have two big boy weapons because you're going to get in your own way while trying to swing. So I would probably put this guy in the C category.
I would personally put it slightly higher. So can we settle for a low B, and I'll explain why?
Okay, Schmidt, we'll settle for a low B solely because I forgot about this thing because I'm an idiot. You could just go, ah!
Oh, I didn't even know about that. My point was going to be, obviously, being the Spartan Lord himself, I like to use the shield with a spear.
Oh.
And I like to crouch behind it and go full turtle poke kind of, well, what's the name for it?
Phalanx.
Phalanx, that's it. Full phalanx. That is absolutely it. So I will put it as a low B, just because of the utility with a spear.
I'll give you that one. Yeah, do I use this weapon? Not really. I'm going to put this in the I don't really use this one. It's cool because you can two-hand it. I mean, why would you? I mean, you put yourself at a disadvantage. I do like the fact that it's multi-purpose. So if I want to try to hack some limbs off, you know, you're able to hack limbs off with it if you get a nice swing, just like in there. But what I do appreciate about it is the handling. So I can handle this one how I want and also turn it into punch guy mode. So punch guy mode.
This is what I was going to say.
Yeah. Let's fight someone and look at punch guy mode. Now, I do appreciate that this guy is also using this axe as well. But this turns into some brutal moments. Like, I can be like, get ready to get punched. And you can punch him right here to finish him off. And if you're really good, that punch actually can decapitate. You might have to be in slow motion for it, but it's cool. You get some brutal moments. It's just, look, that's why I don't use it. Like, that was stuck in his skull. So I just feel like the damagers are a little bit off for this one. So it's fun. I mean, it's definitely fun.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put it that high.
So I think it's a low B, high C.
The Bardici. I love the Bardici. It's a very powerful weapon. So to me, this is either going to be in A or C, to be honest with you. What's your take?
A or C? Do you mean A or S?
Yeah. Schmitto, you have to remember that I'm stupid. I would put the Bardici in either A or S because it is so powerful and you have so many capabilities that you can do with it. So, look, if I want to block, I can block like this. I can block like this one. Different play styles. You, in theory, can use it one hand if you have self-collision turned on. Because if you have self-collision, you can balance it here. Like, right now I don't have self-collision on just for the video's sake. But you can balance it here to get like an ultimate guard and then kind of run into him. So if I had it here, which I'll attempt to do, instant block, and then I could riposte like right away. So it is a powerful weapon. It has great range, even if you're wielding it like this. I could be like, great range attack, and just straight ruin their birthdays. So I'm actually going to give this one high A, maybe not S entirely, but I could be wrong.
But especially with axes, and especially with the Bardiche, and one that is coming up, which is going on the lowest tier for me, this one later, because of this issue. No spoilers. The Bardiche has to stay high A just because of that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, not reaching an S.
So, War Axe, similar to the other one, not high on my list of this one just because the blade's a little small, and I feel like it has the same damage problem as the other one. Like, that man's gonna live. Like, he just lived. I don't know if it was just the game being weird, but like, they'll live through that. I don't know if it's axes in general. So I have the same problem with this one. However, here's what I'll say. If you're playing the game real and you don't have any cheats on and people have armor, this feels good because not only is it doing blunt damage, it will also do slash damage to a certain extent when they still have their armor on. So this is hard for me. I want to give it a C or B, but I can understand the other applications if you're using it differently. So I'm still going to put this one as a B unless Schmitto decides to outrank me here.
And I would actually have put it in C due to it. I don't actually like it slashing, but I really like the fact that it has a pierce on the back. And I think that's what bumps it up to a B for me.
Hatchet goes right in the D category, bro. I don't even want to showcase this one. It's so bad.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. The only saving grace it even slightly has is it's a great throwing weapon. But even then, once you've thrown it, like, you're not going to get it back. And it normally won't kill first try. So yeah, solid bottom D tier. I just can't. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, like seriously. And the reason why, to give some other than throwing, if let's say you're swinging an axe, right? The point of an axe is to have a wide berth, right? So this, if it was down here, I would get it, but it's not. So when you're swinging, probably 80% of the time when you make contact, you're doing blunt damage. Like, it even like saves him.
Oh yeah.
So that's why it's so low. You have to be very accurate. And when you're outnumbered, you know, Accuracy is tough. Oh man, blacksmith hammer. So I mean, this is an obvious D. It does blunt damage and only blunt damage. Same problem. It's small. So when you're hitting people with it, you need to get them right there. I guess if you combined it with other things, if I combined it with maybe the dagger or axe, and I could be a real blacksmith and be like, okay, let's try to get this in him. So this one's still on the D one for me, straight up D. Actually, straight up, don't even use that one.
Yeah, so tier 0 and D tier.
Yeah, I would use this book rather than using the blacksmith hammer. Northern axe. So this is a remnant of a relic of the past, right, from other previous versions. I think it used to just be called axe or Danax. I don't remember.
It was called Danax, yes.
Yeah, it used to be called Danax. And get over here, stupid axe. But it's a relic of the past. I thoroughly enjoy this one. It has the same thing for the Bardici. Solid blocking range, so if you're just blocking in the middle, you can slide up and knock them unconscious, or you could slide into this one. And I will say, using all type of two-handed axes, a lot of people kind of just play like this, right? And they're just swinging it. But remember, with Blade and Sorcery, you can slide your hands while using it. So this is big. So if I was close range, I can hit him and then slide back for a nice hit. Also, while swinging, you could start your swing here and then slide it down to get more power. A lot of people just swing like this and they're like, oh, damn it, I'm stupid. But slide and swing. Kind of like you're cutting a piece of wood. Yeah, so I'm going to try to get a nice solid decap with no slow motion. No slow motion decap! Oh, see what I'm talking about? So, this one, I'm going to actually put this guy in the high B tier just because it also gets stuck on people. But
thank you. I thought you were going to give it a good rating and then forget this stuck. Yes.
No, it gets stuck on people, but it's a really good hockey stick. So if you're playing other type of Blade and Sorcery antics, you know, but overall, probably a B.
Probably just below the War Sword, better than the War Axe. Right in the middle of B.
Flanged War Mace. So this one does not get stuck on people, and I didn't use it a lot because I don't know why I didn't use it a lot. It was new and I was just like, oh, cool, it's a new weapon. I'm more of a sword guy than I am a blunty boy. But once I used it, this thing it ruins people's lives. If they're hit by it, especially if you're using Sectory, instant neck snap. But this is a great disarming weapon. So let's try this out. So I'm going to try to go for just their weapon and just smack it. It's funny, like when you're recording, there we go. So you can just smash it out of his hand. It's like, I surrender. Nah, you don't surrender,
I never
guys.
used it that way.
Oh, absolutely use it this way. People with shields, people with just one-handed weapons, you can really just ruin people's birthdays. It also has a spiky tip. So it depends on how you want to play it. You can be like, spiky tip attack. And then even if they dodge that one, they dodge that, you follow it up. So, I don't know, man. I want to put this in the S tier just because of how powerful it is. But blunt weapons, unfortunately, in current builds of Blade and Sorcery aren't that amazing. So I'm going to put it in an A tier.
I agree with A tier. I was very tempted to put it in S, but yeah, it has to go A tier.
Let me put it like this one. I recently did a dungeon challenge with just like the flange mace and the warhammer. And I was more happy using the warhammer than I was this flange mace. And I think it goes back to blunts being like weak in Blade and Sorcery. Like if you're not using like that Sectory mod, it feels like these aren't good. Like those 2 hits would have just destroyed someone. And it took 4 or 5 hits on someone with no helmet to kind of bring him down. So I don't know. Unless it's in slow motion, I could see it. But to me, to be honest, this honestly belongs probably in the D tier because of how weak it is and how strong it's supposed to be.
I think it looks great. The design's fantastic. It's a classic, but it's just not what I want to be using. So we actually missed an axe, and we have the lumber axe to do. So why don't you whip that one out? Let's have a look.
Oh Lord! I mean, once again, let's put that right there, and let's say I just spawned in. I'm like, oh man, I'm here, and I see this thing. I'm gonna be like, yeah, no, I'm gonna punch people instead. So it's not a looker by any means, and it has the same problem as the other one. It feels blunt more than it is sharp, and this is too small. So to be honest, this is going to have to be a D tier because you're going to do much more blunt damage than you are going to be doing like straight up striking damage.
S tier against wood, but probably D tier against anything else. So let's pop that. I'd say it's better than the hatchet and the blacksmith hammer though, so we're going to put it there.
So Maul, don't be mad at me. You ready to not be mad at me? This is probably a C or D weapon, but for memes and creativity would probably be an A or an S because of that. But let me defend myself before I get executed. It is unwieldy. Even with two hands, you have to swing it like this. And the power of the attacks are still just not there. Like hitting this guy, he's not going to go that far. And without Sectory installed, you're not disabling enemies. Like let me spawn some enemies and I'll try to defend my point. Yeah, it's hard to get around and block. Like you're not blocking with this one unless you're blocking like your Gimli and you're like, okay, I'm the dwarf block, and then you have to kind of get in there. But it feels weak. Like even when I hit him, like he's like, I'm totally fine. I tank that with no armor on. You can do some meme stuff with it, and I think if you're going for the legs, you need to use this as a sweeping weapon. So, I would hit that, and it's good for tripping them. So it's great for tripping, but that guy lived. He's still alive. He's still alive. Oh wait, maybe he wasn't alive. There's another thing. If you're using fast weapon handling mod, and you go into slow motion, and this is one of my favorite ones to do, is just like boom. Like if I had fast weapon handling on, that would have been like. He would have been completely excommunicated from this game, but I don't have it on, and it's vanilla. So, probably D again. Maybe even a C. Schmitto's the deciding factor.
I think D as well. I think below the flange mace. This is really sad how many weapons are in D.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. This is so sad. I am actually going to add a new row of F tier. We're just going to drop the lumber axe, the hatchet, and the blacksmith hammer down there. One last mace, and this is my favorite of all of them.
This is still a garbage weapon, Schmidt. Like, it's not good.
The design's bad.
The design is cool. I feel like I'm a villager, right? Like, I'm the NPC. Like, he spawned with it. That's how you know it's a dog poop weapon. But it has the same problem that the other ones do. I mean, you can disarm people if you hit them in the hands, but look, same problem. Like, I have to do a lot of work just to get one kill with this.
Yeah, I agree. I think the reason I like it so much is I like to dual wield them, like you are right now. It does a lot of damage if used correctly, and that's what I like about it. Compared to the flanged mace, I think it's your good, blunt, one-handed option.
Yeah, I'm not going to rate this one because I hate it, but I'll leave that one to you.
Okay, so I will happily settle with a low C with that. I personally think it's better, but I'll put it in low C just to balance it.
Yeah, let's talk about staves. Staves don't get any love whatsoever, and I wonder if people don't know how to use them. So let's start with something. Electricity sucks. Don't use electricity on the staff, does nothing. But Fireball, when you imbue this one, a lot of people will just go like, whoa, cool, it looks like it has fire and I can burn people. But don't forget, if you press a spell use button while wiggling it, you can shoot a fireball. Look at that, fireball. So you can actually be a cool like wizard guy. It's also unwieldy, like trying to spin this thing. It's also weak as heck when you hit people, but it has other properties. You're not supposed to use this as a swinging weapon. It's made of wood. Don't do that. Now here's the thing. Here's how you're supposed to be using it. Fireball or gravity is really the way you're going to want to use this one. Because come on, get gravity.
It's imbuing really slowly.
It is. So here's what you're going to do. If you want to be a wizard, be a wizard. Cast your spells, but this one here, when you hit it on the ground, it's going to do gravity bomb. Not many weapons do gravity bomb. Gravity bomb!
Yeah. Full Gandalf mode on that one.
Yeah, straight up full Gandalf mode. And once it's imbued, it can float. You can use this one as like, come get me, bro. It may have flown too high, but you can use this as a passive defense. So have your sword and put this in front of you, and he's like, what the hell? Like, he gravity bombed himself because he's an idiot. S tier. Straight up S tier, bro. I don't know. Fight me. Like, if you use this thing correctly, S tier.
Yeah. For what it's supposed to be used for, I would partially agree. I would personally say high A for the fact that lightning is not a thing on it when it should be.
You want to know what? I'll give that one to you. If lightning had some properties, then S tier, but it doesn't, so we're going to give that one
Yeah,
A.
it's going to go top of A tier, though, absolutely. For what it's supposed to be used for, it's very close to an S.
So, Boar Spear. It has some good applications. Also, you can throw this one. Now, a lot of people aren't good at throwing, and I'm not gonna claim to be one of the best, but it's a good weapon. if you know how to use it. So throwing feels good if you want to be a Spartan. Obviously, Schmidt, I'm not a Spartan, so I'm not going to be good at throwing these things. But it has good other applications. It's a good reach weapon, so you can really keep people away from you, kind of get down kind of deep, like squat if you really have to. So if you were using it as two hands and you didn't have like a shield, this is how you want to do it and kind of get in there almost like you're literally killing a boar. That's why it's a boar spear. Like, be Robert Baratheon, just get him. And I believe
maybe not Robert Baratheon. He didn't kill the boar. He died to the boar.
Yeah, but in spirit they won, right? Stop dodging. I like the boar spear. It's fun to use, but there's definitely better weapons out there. It's good for piercing for sure. I don't know. This one feels like a B to me. Has good applications. It's one of the only weapons other than daggers that you can throw. So if you're good with it. So to me, B, straight up B.
Let's settle with a nice middle of the road B. I think personally it's better than the kite shield. I think the short sword is better. So let's put it around there. So the next one's the dual blade staff.
Dual blade staff. Okay. So controversial opinion. Are you ready for this controversial opinion?
Okay.
F. Straight up F, bro.
Give me the main reason and I'll tell you if I agree with... Oh, God. With why.
Okay, here's the reason. This is a video game, and I'm not going to claim to murder people in real life yet. But I mean, if you're just using it like this, you can be like, yeah, what a cool weapon. But the way it's designed to almost... People want to use it like Darth Maul, and you're not supposed to slash with this weapon. This is a stick-em, because... Keep in mind, this is supposed to be a spear. So good for blocking and then kind of getting in there, but you have to do too much with it. And I don't want to focus too much on one guy while using it. So I hate this weapon.
Okay, so I can partially agree with what you're saying here, but I want you to try handling it a different way.
Okay.
Try using both hands directly out in front of you from the top like that on each side.
Like that?
But not completely on opposite sides, just slightly in. There we go. Now try handling like that and pushing towards the enemy either side to slash.
Huh. Still hate it.
It feels a lot... Okay, well, fair enough then. I mean, I personally really enjoy using it like Darth Maul in that kind of way, going full blade mode.
Yeah. Maybe if I had full body tracking, I would like this one, but
there we go, yeah. Because my point would be you could slash sideways.
Okay, hold on. We may have to upgrade this one to at least a D because you could do this. It gets into D for the memes.
Okay, bottom D. Nearly everyone in the whole of the community is bad with this weapon, including us. And you already know what it is because you're pulling out the weapon.
Listen.
That's the bow.
Hold on. Let me impress you real quick. No, I think the thing with this one is because it's VR, things get in the way. Like your controllers get in the way, everything gets in the way. But the bow can be a very powerful tool if you don't panic. So let me show you what it's like if you don't panic. So it's a nice pullback. Bring it kind of like near your chin and then instant miss, but then release. I have headphones on, so it makes it a little harder. But the reason why everyone kind of hates this one is U10 kind of janked everything up for the bows for the players. The NPCs are a lot better now with bows, but for the player, it sucks to use because it's a slow arc and also... Nice death, bro. Also, everything blocks it. Like, if this man had, like, a toenail clipper in front of him, he's going to block. But
yeah.
You have to, there's two styles to this one. The normal archer one will be this, right? If you're doing proper aiming, you're going to bring it up high and kind of go for what you want and take your time to aim. But the other one is kind of like, I want to say, like, combat archery. Let me show you. This is combat archery. So I'm in close range, and I'm going to fire this one almost like a crossbow. So he's here, then I pull back and fire this way. So this is how you're going to use it in like a more practical blade and sorcery, mild combat IRL life. It's a better way of aiming because you can see where it's going, and I'm pulling it like underneath my chest, like right up below my chin is really how I'm going to do this one.
That's the way I like to use it as well, personally.
Yeah, this is how you do it. Keep in mind, you can also use spells while doing this one. So if I wanted to imbue the tip, I can imbue this tip. Then once it's imbued, it's a little bit more devastating to an enemy. It's going to be able to pierce through their armor. So, I get the hate. I understand why. Unfortunately for the bow and arrow, I'm going to put this in the D tier just because it has so many things that don't work. And you have to extremely know what you're doing, so it's a very hard to use weapon. And even if you're really good with it, it still fails you. So straight up D. Well, also here's my other problem is I'm trying to do the dungeon challenge with just an arrow, and you can't, like, look at this. I can't stick them with the arrow. Why?
You used to be able to do that.
I know, like U7, even U8, you could stick them. People have been telling me hold it back here, and then you can stick them, but look, you can't do it. I'm doing it. The only way to actually do this is you have to telekinesis it. And then once it's telekinesis, you can then toss it into them. That's the only way of doing it.
It's going under the... No, it's going above the dual blade staff under the wrist blade. I absolutely love doing this. I think it's great to see an insight. And I would love to do a community tier list at some point. With polls and votes. We could maybe even have the link in this video in the future or in a future video. And we will gather the data and maybe do a community one at some point.
Well, Greebos and Spartans, we have reached the end of the tier list, and I hope you actually disagree with us. I want to spawn some controversy because we want that to happen. If you have something to say, put it in the comment section so we can disagree with you and have a load of fun. So thank you, Schmitto. Thank you, me. Thank you, Greebos, and thank you, Spartans, for participating. We have no idea yet which channel this is on, so I'm not going to say subscribe or anything, but you should subscribe to either one of these channels because we're amazing, right, Schmidt? We're amazing. You don't go anywhere else. Go nowhere else for Blade and Sorcery other than Farther Gamer because we feel bad. Love you, Farther. But stay tuned. We have more fun collabs to come and, moreover, some special dungeons. So thank you for stopping by. Do the Patreon stuff. Do the YouTube stuff. And we'll see you in the next video.